Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. I'm going to be unboxing the Orange 30 from Longer 3D. They were really good to me. Have sent this to me to, oh, you know what, I probably should mute this. They were really good to me, sent this to me to review, and I'm going to do an unboxing for tonight. And then once I've tested this for a little while, I will get a review up. That'll be coming. It usually takes me about a month or so to get a review done on a printer like this. I want to get lots of repetitions in, lots of experience on it. And then I'll also put a post on my website about it, about how the printer is working as I'm going along. Again, this is the Longer 3D Orange 30. And Longer's actually been pretty cool and sent along some discount codes for this printer on the Amazon store for US customers. And they're going to be a pretty amazing discount. I'm really grateful they're sending this over to my listeners because the deal is killer. So let me see if I can see what it's going to be. It's looks like it's going to be 30% off, and the price will be around $180. And these are, just to give you an idea, the Orange 30 is around the same size as one of these Elegumars or Anycubic Photons. So these are fairly large. This is a fairly large printer. It's not like some of the smaller ones. It's not like the Orange 10, which is a smaller unit. This is what I would consider like a full-size unit. So let's open the box and let's see what we've got here. Before I did this, I actually went through and also grabbed the software it uses, because it uses special software. I also installed the configuration file for Chitubox as well. Oh, there we go. So here is the plate that the part you put around the top. And here's the top of it. I'll have to put that together. The nice thing about these printers, at least for an unboxing stream, is they go really fast because, they're basically already mostly put together for the most part. You just basically unbox them and they're ready to go. It does make it much simpler than trying to put together a FDM style printer. And my cats love this packing material. Gives them something to play on, something to sleep on. It all depends on what they're looking for. Get that out of the way. Okay. So there we go. Let me see here. Let's see here. Okay. Just see if there's anybody chatting yet. So, we're already here. So this is what the unit looks like. It's a fair size larger than like I said, than the Longer 10. Like the Longer 10, this thing is solid. You know what? I just realized I've got something on my screen there, don't I? Usually I hide this. Back behind. There we go. That looks a lot better. Sorry about that. So, like the Longer 10, this thing is robust. It is solid. Now, it uses their style. It has these thumb screws that hold down the vat. And you can see the FEP film on the bottom. Doesn't look like it's got a cover or anything. The other thing about this, you can see that they actually weld this thing together. So this thing is built strong. These are very, 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 very tough systems. So yeah. And one thing I do like about them, even though I had to find out the hard way, they do make these a little easier to work, or they do make these kind of easy to work on. My LCD on the orange tin did not work when it first came, when it first arrived. So I ended up having to replace it. And honestly, it took like 10 minutes to replace. The side came off. The ribbon was easy to get to. They actually have a pre-cut piece of tape that goes on it to seal it. It's really well put together. They really think about the customer experience beyond just the printing, also the maintenance. So I was actually really impressed by that. Here's a power supply here. Oh, here's some resin. Oh, this is stuck in there tight. There we go. So this is a 250 gram or bottle. So this is a light brown, so I believe that's what I've used before from them. It's got some hex wrenches, playing card to get stuff off, some towels it looks like. Some L brackets. I'm guessing this is to put around the top to make putting the top easier, because that can be a royal pain in the butt. And it's got a scraper that is actually kind of painful to get to. There we go. It's stuck in there. Yeah, it's nice and sharp. Oh yeah, that is going to remove some parts. Though I will admit, what I really like for removing parts is this. It's a painter's palette. This particular one, I'm able to get in there with this piece, and it just gouges right in there. And I keep everything in here that I work with my resin printing. So I basically do all my work right here. So I'll print over here, which you can see where all my printers are. I pull the stuff off, put it in the pan, bring the pan over here, work on it, clean it. My ultrasonic cleaner is down here out of sight where you can't see it. And then my UV oven's right here, so it's got all my UV. I'm going to actually probably do a post on it. I grabbed the idea from Tested. It uses their bread box design, and I really liked it. And I found this bread box, which actually has a window, so I can actually look in, which probably don't really need, but it's kind of cool. What can I say? I like to watch them in there. It's really cool. You turn the lights off at night and it lights up UV, lights up the room. Okay. So this is a nice heavy-duty power cord too, which is always nice. A lot of the power cords I've gotten from my 3D printers have been a little on the small side. I like this one's a little more robust. So what I'm going to do, since we're getting started here, I'm going to give out my first code. If anybody wants that, I'm going to put it into chat here. And there you go. And that code, again, is good for a discount of 30% on this printer. It'll bring it down to around $180, I believe, is what I was shown. And it will allow you to purchase the printer on Amazon for a really good price. So it's a kind of an introduction. They're helping me out, and I really appreciate them doing that for me. Let's see here. I'm guessing this is some film in here. I think this is FEP film, but it's a really big piece. I don't really expect one that big for this. This is a thank you letter for purchasing. Actually, I probably should look at the instructions really quick. Gotten to the point that I've built a ton of these now. I'm kind of used to just kind of blowing through these. So the first thing we're going to do is build the acrylic cover. The brackets are going to be a huge help. And then we just get into printing. So yeah. So let's start here. Let's build this. these would have been amazing when I was building the tin. Oh, I really hate pulling the backing off of these. Okay, this is always so much fun. So who else watching in the channel right now? I can see a few people are in there. What are you guys doing tonight on this Friday night? And the last few things I printed, a buddy of mine are in our D&D game. We had a bunch of characters get wiped out last gaming session. I unfortunately wasn't there. So one of the characters is rolling up a new character, and I printed his character out this week, so it looks pretty cool. And then my character is a summoner, so I've been printing a bunch of pieces for that. I've been printing pieces from Printed Obsession, some of the elementals, and I'm going to be printing some more because how my character works, I can summon all sorts of giant ones, so I want to have some different looking elementals. And I'm going to be using those to start representing my characters instead of just some random, miniature that works but doesn't look right. It's not the right creature. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And the ones I've been printing, like I said, Print Obsession and from Brian Nafariti or something like that. I hope I didn't butcher his name too bad. He just had a Kickstarter fund, Bestiary 2. Really killer price on it. It was like $37, and you got a ton of figures. Oh, I also printed one of the Gith Zerai from that. Gith Zerai have always been one of my favorite D&D races. I love the lore behind them, the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zerai. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been printing on my resin recently. I've been using the Ceratech. The last few times I've been using this Ceratech, this gray, which I really do like this stuff. It's their rapid gray, or their fast gray, I guess. And it prints really well. I've been printing at 8 seconds, and I bumped it down to 7.5, and it actually prints a little nicer. So I really like that. I've also been doing a little bit of the Elegoo water soluble resin, and I really like that stuff too. I found that it's really brittle, so I need to play around with the settings a little bit. I have a feeling I'm really overexposing it, and that when you overexpose it, I think it gets really brittle. I just broke a figure tonight, and it's got cracks radiating from the bottom of the head of the figure. So I've never actually seen a figure do that when it got broken, a resin figure at least. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out. I need to work on those settings, get those figured out. It's really cool though, being able just to use water and not have the stench of isopropyl alcohol. Oh, that is so nice. So nice. Just remember, it is still dangerous. You need to take the same precautions as any resin, and you have to dispose of it properly. You can let the water evaporate, leave it out in the sun so that the resin hardens as much as possible. The water evaporates, and you're left over with the solids at the end there. So I want to make sure you do that. Oh, come on. Did I mention how much I hate doing this stuff? I understand why they leave it on. Helps keep them pretty, but man, it's annoying to try to do this. And it really kills the flow of the live stream too, I might add. So how many out there have used the longer 3D printers before? I've got a couple of Alpha Ys that have been sent to me from GearBest. Those are their, I believe they're OEMs. I actually like a lot of their printers. I've actually had a lot of amazing prints come off their version of basically the CR10. It's the U20, I believe. It's one of the better quality printers that I have. So I've really been impressed with the quality of prints I get off the longer the printers that are made by Longer 3D. I like that. Here, give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. My daughter needs me for a second. Mom ordered it on me. Okay. Oh. Okay. My daughter is having a sleepover, so asking questions. My wife's out with her best friend this evening doing some shopping. So, okay, let's see here. Get this all torn off here. I'm hoping this time, once I'm done here, we'll figure out what I'm going to print, and hopefully it won't be like last time and my audio will go away in the middle of it. That really sucked. I went on and on for like half an hour and my mic was muted on that section of OBS Studio. I didn't have this mic set up right. So that was really obnoxious. But I'll use the Longer 3D software. I haven't used this latest version yet. When I was getting ready for the stream tonight, I downloaded the latest version. I had, I think, 1.29, and the latest version looks like it's 1.32. Remember, if you're trying to fire up the Longer 3D slicer, if it's not wanting to fire up, you want to run it as administrator. You're going to find that it runs a lot better when you do that. Well, you'll find that it'll actually run. That's my biggest issue with it, is that it doesn't really want to run very well until you run as administrator. Not a fan of that. I don't like software that forces you to run as an administrator just to run it regularly. I don't mind having to elevate credentials to install it, but I really don't want to have to give a program administrator access just to run. So I'm hoping they fix that in a later revision. I really do. It makes the sysadmin side of me just cringe having to do that. Let's see here. Almost done here, finally. Just last 2 to go. And then we can start putting this cover together. There we go. So close. Oops. It's kind of amazing looking back. So I've had my photon there for close to 2 years now, I think. Maybe over 2 years. I don't know. I've had it for quite a while. And when I first got that, resin was like $60 for 1,000 milliliters. It's come down to like reliably down to $40, and I've seen even less than that. So it's pretty amazing how quickly resin has come down in price. I know a lot of us figured it would, with the market increasing in size, with so many more people getting resin printers, and with the resin printers coming down in price with these masked LCD printers. But it's kind of amazing to see how quickly the price has actually come down. Now, when I got into FDM printing a few years ago, PLA was already fairly inexpensive, so I've not really seen that drop in price, where I'm sure a bunch of people out there have. To me, PLA has always been $20 or less, though I have seen, a higher quality coming out for much less. I've been using a lot of the Solval 3D filament. The last couple of orders have been through them. I really like their filament, and you order a black and a white, and it costs $26, so it's $13 a roll, and I would say it prints at least as good as pretty much any other brand I've ever used, if not better than most that I've used. So it's a pretty amazing deal just for $13 a roll. And when you're printing terrain, you don't need anything, amazing when it comes to that, especially if you're going to be painting it. You just need something that's solid and looks good, and it definitely does that. I can prime it and paint over it. It holds its shape well, works out really well. So, any questions out there for me? Feel free to ask them in chat. Hal is happy to answer questions about this printer or any others while I'm trying to unbox it here. Or actually, while I'm trying to take this this stuff off. Let's see here. Let me just check really quick. Whoops. Just checking a different window here really quick. Nope, not see anything. Okay. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to move some windows around a little bit. Let's see here. So how far into the stream are we? So we're half an hour in. I think half of it's taken getting these off. we go. So it actually looks really good. So now let us put this together. If I can focus well enough to do it. Holy cow. I will admit, I knew this was coming, and I had jumped online. I knew that that there was a little bit of talk about creating a what's it called? A deal that goes all the way around the top to hold in these acrylic pieces, or maybe the bottom. I forget which one it was, either the top or the bottom. And I was going to print that before this came, but it doesn't look like they ever actually end up releasing that. That was an early design idea because of some of the complaints. I'm trying to put this together like this. This is not this. Even with these, it's obviously not the simplest. As I'm losing all my pieces and parts. I can hear my poor dog barking. She's in her kennel for bed. Okay. Actually, let's do this. Let's pull one of these out. I bet if I do 3 sides, this will come together a lot better. Let's see. And let's see if we get this one on. That didn't work. Give me 1 second. I need to message my daughter to take the dog out since she's not listening to her. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. So, while I can get this together to this point a lot easier than I could before, it still doesn't exactly fix the issue of trying to put all these pieces and parts together. Because it wants to fall apart as soon as there we go. It doesn't want to stick. Okay, now I probably should have gotten this out ahead of time. I need to find out where the rubber bands are for this. There they are. So one step's down. Now the other hard part. That's to get the to actually stay on. Get this done. Wrap. Okay. And we get to start all over yet again. Holy crap. I think this is the reason why you very, very, very rarely ever see anybody actually build these things, this particular one live, because of this part right here is kind of a royal pain in the butt. And I'm trying to lose it. There we go. There's so much distance between the bottom and the top. There's no way for it to really adhere or for it to stick together. There we go. And when I'm trying to get this to do that, there we go. Trying to get this on is a royal pain in the butt too. Okay. And see, this came out. Stay together now. Okay. Let's flip this over. I'm going to put these back on yet again. This rubber band tried to go in that gap. That's not good. That's where one of the problems came from. And it looks like this side of the rubber band did the same thing. There we go. That'll make things a little easier. Got it. Holy cow. Now, to put this on. Now, I would highly recommend doing this with somebody else. Trying to do it solo is really what makes it a royal pain in the derriere, so to speak. Let's see here. There we go. I'm going to move this up just above the this deal. Oh man, it's trying to fall apart up here. There we go. See, and now it's in that gap again. There we go. Just does not want to play nice, does it? Okay, there we go. So there's 3 rubber bands. I think I saw 3. Yeah. I'm going to stick one more in the center. Have to admit, putting the top on this is, like the orange tin, is very painful, but I think the orange tin has the advantage in that it's a much ow. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to do that. The orange tin is a much smaller printer, so it doesn't have as many problems with this. So there we go. Okay, so let's get back here again. Let's see here. So let's see, where am I? We've got the rubber bands on. So now let's take this off. We're going to take the vat off. I should have just left it off when I took it off earlier. I'm going to take this off and add another one on. Or not take off another one. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put the the tray or the bed on. So the bed just slides right on here. Get that up, slide it on. Actually looks pretty good. Let's see here. Just trying to see how it says to level it. It says to use some paper, and I had some paper around here. So now I have to zero this down. So let's see what this does. So one thing I noticed right away is that this is a lot quieter. Actually, this might even be quieter than the Mars. Let me see here. Yeah, it's even quieter than the Mars is. So that's actually pretty impressive. This is a fairly quiet printer. That's actually that is probably the biggest complaint about the orange tin is how loud it is. Sounds like it's about ready to take off. Now, I did see somebody has created a larger base that you can put a larger fan underneath it. Actually, it might be a little too snug. It says that leveling is suitable when it needs some force to drag the paper. Oh, it's more force than I would like. So let's see. I think it's going to be these bolts here. It feels like it was leveled at the factory, and it actually may be okay. But I want it to be just a little looser than what it is right now. Helps if I go the right way. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Remember that, folks. So Voices of Mars is asking, is the build plate the same size as the Mars? I believe it's like 1 millimeter or half a millimeter smaller. It's basically the same. What it does give you is it does give you a little bit longer on the Z. So the Mars and the Photon are a little smaller overall, but not by much. This isn't a lot larger printer by any means, but it prints slightly taller on the Z, so that's actually kind of cool. So that gives some points over here to the orange 30. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Let's get that moved up here. Let's see here. Yeah, I remember when this went out on sale on Kickstarter. It was honestly one of the very rare 3D printers that I kind of broke my rule of no ordering 3D printers on Kickstarter and actually kind of suggested this one. I still had a little trepidation, but when you look at Longer 3D and all the printers they've made, I felt pretty confident that they would do right by their customers. So there we go there. And I think that's basically it. So yeah, so the Orange 30, the build size is 120 by 68 by 170 overall. That's the build size. I think this is all, yeah. And I'm gonna live the dangerous side. I'm gonna try their USB thumb drive, though I will admit I am using their other USB thumb drive that came with the longer tin. It still works great, so. Goes against conventional wisdom on not using these thumb drives that come with the printers, but I have had luck with theirs in the past. So let's hope that I continue to have luck in the future. Let's see here. To this. There we go. So what should I slice? What should I print on the well, actually, I know what I'm going to print. I'm going to print what I always print. So after all the issues I ran into assembling the cover, I guess there's a YouTube video. I'll put a link to it in the description that was sent over to me from Longer 3D. It sounds like they probably have an easier method than me just trying to muddle my way through it. So I will definitely put that in the description. So hopefully you don't have all the pain and suffering that I had. I still think that if you have two people, it would probably be a whole lot easier. I think just doing it with one person is just a lot more difficult. So let's see here. So let's open up the longer 3D software. There we go. So the Longer 3D is open. Let's see here. I'm going to switch over to that. There we go. How about there? So Longer 3D is open. Let's see here. I'm going to. Sorry, trying to figure out which audio I'm supposed to have. I think this is the right one. Let's see here. I'm going back here. No. Nope, that's actually the. Oh, no. What am I? Ooh. I'm actually coming in on 2 mics on this. How's my audio out there? Is it okay sounding? I'm gonna kill that audio. Let's see, I'm still coming in on my mic aux, so that's good. But I want to increase it a little bit. There we go. So I'm gonna switch back over to Longer 3D. Okay, so I've got audio here. That should help. Okay. So here is what it looks like. I'm going to go through and grab a file and bring in here. Let's see here. And this is going to be and bring in my Skeleton Warrior 1 and my Zombie 1. So 2 figures. Let's see here. Okay, thanks for letting me know that it does sound good, though. I appreciate that. And now, I'm going to rotate these so that I can lay them on their back. Actually, no, I don't need to do that at all because these I always print base down. That's right. These are these come from Dungeon Works, and these were part of his last Kickstarter. They were actually free figures, and they are supportless, so you don't actually need supports to print them. And I use these to show off all of my different printers. I've got them printed on the Mars, the Photon, the Orange Tin, as well as I believe possibly the Ender 3 and also my Soval 3D FDM printers. And my daughter's crap, do not want to do that. Does Control Z work? No, Control Z does not work, but Reset does. So there we go. My daughter's engineering teacher has a Form 2 in his lab, and he said he'll print once he gets some more resin in. He'll print these two for me so that I can see what it looks like, what these look like from a Form 2 as well. Because so far everything I printed was an LCD or a FDM or masked LCD. Okay, so these look good. Let's look. So this shows no holes, no non-manifold, and no inverted normals. So I don't need to fix anything. I don't need to put in I don't need to put in support on this because these, by their nature, don't need support. Now I can slice at different layers. I have to play with this to get it, see what it's like. So that's one slice. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna grab their manual. I just want to make sure what I show is the default, is the right settings. Oh, let's see. Actually, so let's go back here. So it's saying add 3mm. I'm not liking that. I'm gonna stick with how it was. I'm gonna print it right on the bed. I think I'm gonna call that good. Okay, sorry about that. Just seeing how that all works out. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just seeing what the settings are. It's very, very small down there. My eyes are getting very old. Well, it looks like this is the default settings. That is the longer, excuse me, the longer 3D resin. Ooh, I can get down to 25 microns. That's interesting. I may have to try that really soon. Okay, so let's save this job. And I'm going to stick this where I put all my sliced files in my G-code directory. Okay, zombie, actually, I'm going to name this orange 30, zombie 1, skeleton warrior 1. Okay. So I've got those saving. You can see that it's saving the sliced file here. And let's see here. And I'm going to copy this over. Let's see here. There. And go to my G code. So I'm going to copy this over to the thumb drive. Just actually seeing what else is on the SD card or the thumb drive. So I've got this copied over, and it's got the USB port right there. Not so sure if it will let me. Oh no, it allowed me to. Oh, now this is interesting. It's not. I don't think it's showing me. Huh. It's not showing me the file. I suspect it's because it's looking for the files in a specific in the STL file. These are not the STL. Sorry. So this has STL and pre-sliced. I'm putting this in the pre-sliced directory. So there we go. Okay. So I do have that now. So now we can put some resin. We can get it started printing. Remember, whenever you start with resin, you always want to mix it really well. Actually, I'm gonna throw my safety glasses on. Probably don't need them just for adding some resin, but better safe than sorry. Ooh, huh. Just noticed that I've got one side of this really high up, and the other side was really low. So I can see a gap underneath right here on this. And oh no, I guess it's on both sides, so that I don't think it's a big issue then. It looks about the same on both sides. I was worried that it was only on one side. So time to add the resin. Now, if I was actually going to be working with much of anything on touching the resin, which I don't believe I should be touching the resin, I'd put the gloves on. But if I'm careful, I should not be touching the resin because I'm just going to be pouring this in here. Yes, and this is their longer 3Ds kind of, whoops, their kind of flesh color resin. What do they call it? They call it brown, light brown. It really is more flesh color. So let's see here. There we go. So it looks like this is going to take 3 hours. So this is kind of cool. It actually on the printer, I'm going to pop this up for you so you don't have to just look at that anymore. Let's see, scene, and let's, so here we go here. Come on, focus for me. Okay. So, yeah, it shows like the date and time and shows how long it's going to take. Shows actually has a pretty good little 3D model of the things too. This is, I think of all my printers, this is actually probably the nicer looking display with how it interacts. Longer does a really good job of building these user interfaces and basically building these better for printing. I really do like what they do. They're not as generic as some of the other 3D printers. What they do is a little more, how they want to do it. It's a little more specialized, and I really like, you can look at those models on there. It's a lot easier to see. I think this display is actually a little smaller than the Mars, but I think it's a little easier to see what's going on just because the high contrast, and those models are just really high quality. Oops, my finger got in there and screwed everything up. I did notice that trying to touch things, it's a little more difficult, but it's a smaller display. So let's get it started. Let's see what happens here. I might need to calibrate that screen a little bit. It looks like it's just off a little bit. Have a good night, Mario. Thanks for stopping by. So let's get this started. I'm about ready to be done with this stream too. Get this going. So they've got some instructions now and some settings. You can actually hook this up and print or set up your slice through Chitubox. And that's actually pretty cool. They have the instructions in here. Basically, you output the file to a zip file. You end up bringing it. You then convert it to an LGS30. Let's see. You basically output to zip file, and then you import the Chitubox zip file, and then you basically save it out as a LG30. So it's a little kludgy, but it allows you to use that software, which is actually kind of slick. So you can see this is what that looks like. So one thing that is different here that you'll notice compared to every other printer, I think, it tells you the temperature. This is actually kind of interesting. If it overheats, it will not continue on and destroy the light element. It will stop for a little bit. It'll let itself cool down and then continue on again. So that's kind of interesting. You can see the layers. I've got 798 layers here. It projects 2 hours, 55 minutes, so basically 3 hours, and it's gone for 2 minutes so far. And it shows that it's printing. And you can see the percentage done. I do have to admit, I do like the one thing I do like from the Elegoo Mars over this is it shows on the display what the layer looks like. So I do like that. But overall, I actually like this interface. I think this interface tells you a lot more information, and I actually really like that. I actually really like the temperature gauge. That's very, very handy. I think it's a nice little safety feature for the printer to save itself. So I'm going to put the cover on. Like I said, they sent me a link to a video to build the cover. I probably should have watched that first and not gone through the pain and suffering I went through. But you know, it's neither here nor there. So I'm gonna move that a little bit. And how about let's give out one more code. So these are only good for a few days. These are good for 5 days. And if you use a code, please let me know that you did. So these are again good for the U.S. Amazon store. This link should take you to the Amazon store, and that should be the longer 3D orange 30, and then the code to get the discount for it. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna call it there. We've sliced a file. I'm gonna get printing on this. This is gonna go after this print here. This is actually This is actually gonna go right up here next to its little brother, the orange tin. And I can honestly see a huge difference in size between these. But it'll go here. I've got my Mars here, my photon here. I need to do some work on the photon to get it working again. But this should work out really good for my setup here. But yeah, so I'm going to start. So tomorrow after this is done printing, so I'm going to probably be going to bed before it's done. But tomorrow I'll get it out and I'll try to get it posted, show what it looks like, and put it on the website. So there you go. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I want to thank Longer 3D for sending me this printer. They've actually been a really good partner on my website. Yes. Oh, and sorry, I just checked on Facebook. They're telling me there's models inside the USB key, and yeah, he is right. There's a actually decent number of models, some really cool looking ones. I believe that I've got the link downloaded. Let's see here. I have so many windows open. Let's see here. I don't know if I actually got no, I didn't get everything. So on their website, you can actually go and download everything, and that's actually where I'm at right now. It actually is on a Google Drive. So if I go to STL files, so there's a bracket, there's a Star Wars skull, the 3 wise skulls, a vampire lord bust, and the zombie hunter head. STL, though mine also has a hollowed triceratops. So it looks like they may have added even another one. And then there's these are, and then there's also LGS 30 versions of all these. So they have the STL versions and the pre-sliced versions of all of these. But I usually like to, play things a little less safe and go right after printing these particular models when I get a new printer, because it's something that I'm going to be using. And hey, Jackie, thanks. So Jackie's the one that I work with from Longer 3D. He's been really good to me. But let's see here. So sorry, I totally lost my train of thought on that one. So yeah, so they've got those models on there if you want to just start there. But these are the test models that I use, and basically anytime I test a resin printer now, I put at least these 2 models on them. That way I've got a good comparison for every single printer that I can put side by side, and you can look across them and get a good idea of what we're seeing. And it doesn't look like my video is working on my camera. That's kind of obnoxious. There we go. Are we back again? There we go. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So again, I do want to say thank you to Longer 3D. I appreciate them sending this out to me to test out. I've been excited to see it. I've been following it, well, I've actually been following it since before the Kickstarter. He, Jackie had been talking to me about it before that because of my involvement in the gaming community. I actually talked to him quite a bit about the gaming community um, and 3D and how 3D printers really work really well for us. So he was really excited, and it's worked out really well. I've actually learned some stuff from him, and they seem like he seems like a really good guy, and the company seems really solid and really good. So it's actually been a pretty good time with them. So definitely like to thank them and thank you for joining me on this. And watch my website. It's makerfun3d.com. Watch my website for updates on this. I'm going to be showing off how they end up looking, how these prints look, and how other prints are going to look as it goes along. And I can tell you right now, this thing is really quiet. None of my other 3D printing, or not, actually, none of my other 3D printers are this quiet, period, let alone resin printers. That's actually really impressive. I'll tell you right now, that is very impressive with how quiet this is. It makes very, very little sounds. So I just saw the whole vat pull up on that one. I didn't like that. And it looks like, yeah, so the whole vat's coming up. And it looks like it's only on this side. I don't think this side is screwed in all the way. Whoops, I hope this doesn't screw up the print. There we go. Now it looks right. So little things to always watch for. So yeah, so again, thank you, and enjoy your evening. And I will actually probably revisit this and clean it up just a little bit. So thank you much for joining. Have a good night, evening.